I'm going to be here this morning with y'all. David and Jacob asked last night if I would hop on, and I'm like, well, we got to give up the workout, I guess, this morning. I'm generally, up at 6 at the gym by 7:15. I'll catch this um, while I'm lifting, and it's just a great word and a way to start the day. And, I've been reading Bible in a year this year. Is anybody else doing Bible in a year or reading through it this year? And man, when I was asked yesterday, I was just thinking like I'm in this at the part with Moses right now. And Moses wasn't the greatest. Like he never felt like competent in what God was asking him to do, but he just said yes and he just moved forward. And God just worked through him miracles, right? And what I want to talk to you guys about today, and I'll get to that here in a moment, is like growth mindset versus fixed mindset. Because ultimately, and kingdom mindset, like our mindset determines everything. Jacob was giving me some honor and praise here a moment ago, and just to give some light as to like some things that I have done over the past couple years, and just operating in a growth mindset and a kingdom mindset has been, uh, making six figures my first year being a business owner, which isn't easy. If you're a business owner, like, that's like a all day, all in commitment while being in a relationship. My second year helping open an office in Dallas, doing 8 months distance with my now wife. Her navigating her moving to Dallas and us uh, navigating different career paths and then merging in business together and going through that chapter. She's been now with the company for 5 years. And it's just been constant like growth, right? I remember the one year that I didn't grow, I just got so like antsy, in business. If you're a business owner, you understand that business doesn't grow overnight. Like if you want to see change, it's like a 6 month commitment in your brain. Like I'm going to see this through. And I just remember like a year where it was like, all right, I'm 6 months out from my next breakthrough. I'm a year out from my next breakthrough. And I actually, with joining hands with other men and getting in community, you're the average of the five people you hang around the most. And I just happened to surround myself with a Navy SEAL and a Super Bowl winner. And they were crazy enough to want to do a 100-mile ultra marathon. And so it's like, God, I've never ran more than 6 miles in a day, but I'm believing that this 100 miles is done and training and actually seeing it through and just overcoming all the thoughts that you can have in 29 hours of running straight, as you can imagine. But I did it with men who had a growth kingdom mindset. And it was the most incredible thing that they never complained. They never complained. Like when your body's in the most pain that you can think about enduring, and Ace that might be outside of the military. I don't know what y'all got going on there, but like you're in so much pain, but nobody's complaining. They're just speaking life and they're speaking verses and they're speaking kingdom over you. And so what's incredible about this room is we're all kingdom together. We're all on a mission to live out God's will together. And so just thinking on some of these past accomplishments, it's like how do you get these things to happen? How do you make over $500,000 with your spouse multiple years over? Like how do you make these things happen? And what I can tell you is it doesn't happen overnight. It happens by having a vision, like making it plain and operating in a growth mindset, right? So let's talk about growth mindset a little bit. Growth versus fixed mindset. So when you think like fixed mindset, I'll kind of open it up here. What do you guys think when you think fixed mindset?
Rigid, not malleable.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to change.
Yeah. Like stuck in their old ways. Meet them in person. They're still talking about high school football games. Like it's kind of like fixed mindset. Like I am this way because I have to be this way. Right? I think there's three groups of people in every room. There's people that don't know what they don't know. There's people that know that they don't know. And I mean, my mentor, he breaks it down. He's like, like when you go into any room, there's like, or any business or any environment, like if you're like really growth oriented, you're thinking like a pie chart, like 5% of that pie chart is what you know you don't know. Everything else is what you don't know you don't know. If you go into a room that way, you're seeking knowledge from everybody. You're seeking wisdom from everybody, right? So don't know what they don't know that they don't know, and then there's know that they need to know. And in this room, we're all here because we know that we need to know more about the living God, right? And his word and how to live out our life biblically. So the next level from growth, so we got fixed mindset, which is unfortunately where a lot of people get trapped. We have growth mindset, right? And this is things that I pursued for a long time in this world before I really like had my moment. And if you guys were on my testimony a couple weeks ago, like you saw me get emotional and like being 3 or 4 years, I think I was like 3.5 years into being a business owner, God really bringing me to my knees. And growth mindset in this world got me to a point uh, that I only got so far, right? There wasn't peace, there wasn't love in it. There was podcasts and motivation and uh, and it's just kind of empty. And so when you can unlock this next level, which is kingdom mindset built on the word of God, you now not only have this growth mindset, like this knowledge and wisdom, but you have purpose as well. And I think that's what we're all ultimately seeking is meaning and purpose in our lives. There was a study done on like the centurion zones, like the blue zones of the world, where the people live the longest into like their hundreds. And what they attest like living into their hundreds, which I don't know, does anybody else want to live into their hundreds? Like 110, Bible says 120. I don't know, like I want to figure it out. But that's that's what they attest it to is meaning and purpose for their lives. So, kingdom mindset's built on the word of God, and kingdom is rule of God. Kingdom is territory governed by God, and the realm in which God's will, God's desires are fulfilled. So, who wants God's will in their life? Absolutely. I prepared a bit this morning for you all. I want to make sure that we're really hitting on a couple of these points because I think they can really help you. Zig Ziglar says too many people are trying to climb the ladder of success to only find that the ladder is leaning against the wrong wall. Who's tried to climb what they thought was success to get to the top? Ultimately, when you climb a ladder, when you climb a mountain, what do you find on the other side of the mountain? Oftentimes, it's more mountains. Like it's not just one mountain and then it's like you're successful and it's all done. So, kingdom business, kingdom purpose, living, leaning that ladder against the right wall. Like there's no end to that wall. There's only going to be more mountains on the other side of what you're doing. But there's purpose in it. So I have a couple verses for you guys, and it talks about the heart. I don't think we oftentimes think about the heart as Jesus does, but he says, I don't want to misquote these, just from our mind, it's from the abundance of your heart, your mouth speaks, right? So when you're in your word, when you're um, in environments of other people that are in their word, you're really working on your heart posture, and that's when going into environments where sometimes you don't feel fully prepared, like God's going to work through you. Like if your heart posture is right, the word that needs to be spoken is going to be spoken. He also says in Proverbs 4, guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. Avoid all perversive talk, stay away from corrupt speech. Look straight ahead and fix your eyes on what lies before you. Mark out a straight path for your feet, stay on the safe path, but guard your heart, right? If your heart is a flowing spring, as it explains in the Bible, like you want to work to purify that and keep God's wisdom. In Proverbs, he says, life and death are in the power of the tongue. In Luke 6, it says, a good person produces good things from the treasury of a good heart, and an evil person produces evil things from the treasury of an evil heart. What you say flows from what is in your heart. In James 3, it says, people can tame all kinds of animals, birds, and reptiles and fish, but no one can tame the tongue. It is restless and evil, full of deadly poison. Sometimes it praises our Lord and Father, and sometimes it curses those who have been made in the image of God. And so blessing and cursing come pouring out of the same mouth. Surely, my brothers and sisters, this is not right. Does a spring of water bubble out with both fresh water and bitter water? Does a fig tree produce olives or a grapevine produce figs? No, you can't draw fresh water from a salty spring. So, what process do you have to go through to purify your heart? I was I was meeting with the men this past week, and I took some notes I'll share with you guys here on like how your actual like physical heart works if you're going to purify your heart. I just got to pull this up. Bear with me, y'all. All right, so do we have any doctors in here? No? Okay. So essentially, how our heart works is we have two veins into our heart pumping blood, and then we have three veins out from our heart dispersing blood to our body. So my pastor says the two in to your heart are one is experiences, and two is what you believe about those experiences. The three that come out are your thinking, your attitude, and your actions. So the three that come out are your mind, your will, and your emotions. So it's not only what our experiences have been in the past that dictate like what we think about the future, but it's what we believe about our experiences. So if you think about past things in your life, maybe trauma, like things that have happened in the past, how can you rework those experiences to be for your good? What kind of a process can you go through to help reattach meaning to those things so that they serve you and you can grow through them? Because ultimately, if you're in a leadership position, we grow through what we go through. When we go through something, we know our test creates our testimony. We're best called to lead in business who we used to be. So all of us are uniquely equipped differently from these past experiences that have flown into our heart. But then now, from what a meaning we attach to those becomes our thinking, our attitude, our actions, our mind, will, and our emotions. So like our being, how we do things, and then what happens from those things that we do. If you think about your brain, 5% of your brain is actually conscious thinking. 95% of it is unconscious. So when we talk about business taking like 6 months to make a change, well, yeah, that's because we're like thinking 5% of the day. So it's our habits and our like schedule that's actually determining the outcome that we like have unconsciously built to create the success. The way that we're thinking, we're speaking through those conversations that are creating, because every conversation we're going into, we're creating something. So as you go into your day today, be thinking like, what am I going to create from this conversation? Is this helping anybody? Probably didn't think we were going to talk about your brain and your heart today, but like these are all the little things that make the big difference. My pastor says, be, do, have. If you can figure out your being when you're going into a situation, like how your being creates how you do the thing that creates how you have the thing. So you got to get your heart right. You got to get your being right. You got to get your growth mindset focused. And then you can go into the thing, how you need to do the thing and how you need to be. And then you can have that outcome that you ultimately want to have. And it's a process to make that happen. So what's helped me in my journey to have a kingdom mindset, to have a growth mindset, has been creating core values. Does anyone have core values established? If you don't, I'm going to read today's message from my pastor Keith Craft in our devotional, but he talks about values under pressure. Because if you choose to do life God's way, like you're going to be under pressure. Like it's like if it was easy to, live life God's way, if it was easy to be successful, everybody would be successful. Right? But you gotta stand on something. You gotta stand firm. So he says values under pressure. You become a principle-centered person when your values are tested under pressure and you stay true to them. It says in 1 Peter 1:7 in New Living Testament, these trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold, though your faith is far more precious than mere gold. How are you being tested right now? What trials are you going through? I know I'm going through trials. Like we're always like, if you, I won't even have you raise your hands because if you say you're not going through trials, I know you're a liar. Like we're all always going through something. So the thoughts behind this, your core values are not fully proven until they are tested. It is easy to declare what you stand for when everything is going well, but true character is revealed in moments of pressure and difficulty. Adversity is often the defining factor in shaping who we truly are and the proof to others that we are who we claim to be. It's during times of challenge that we and others see if our values are merely words or if they are the principles guiding our actions. When we're under pressure, whether in relationships, at work, or in other spiritual walk, how we respond reveals the authenticity of our beliefs. Staying true to your core values, even when it's inconvenient or costly, is what separates those who are principle-centered from those who merely profess values without living them. Daniel was taken captive to Babylon, far from his homeland, and he and his friends faced immense pressure to conform to the customs of foreign culture. However, Daniel remains true to his values and refuses to eat the king's food that was against his belief. He chose to honor God despite the risk involved. Daniel's commitment to his principles ultimately led to God's favor and protection, and even health. He ultimately became the powerful leader in a foreign land. Daniel's values were tested under pressure, and because he stayed true to them, he became a beacon of integrity and faithfulness. Even in our personal lives, we face moments when our values are tested. For instance, choosing honesty when it could cost you a promotion, or stand up for someone being treated unfairly when it means risking your own reputation. It's in these moments that our character is formed. We become principle centered when we make decisions based on what we believe is right, not what is convenient or expedient. Adversity is not something to be feared. It is an opportunity to prove that our values are real and that our character is strong. Like, what is it? I just think, like, what does that make you feel? Like, that makes me want to go make it happen. Like, whatever it is. Like, when I'm like when I get excited about adversity, like I can go take on the world's challenges. When I'm a victim to adversity, then, I'm not winning the day. I'm putting my head on the pillow at night thinking like, dang, I wish I would have done this and this better. But every day we get a chance to decide who we want to be based off of who we decided we are. Core values aren't established based off of your strengths always. Oftentimes, core values are established based off of what you know you're not strong in. If we go through our agency values, in every interview, in the interview box, I always bring this up whenever making a hiring decision because I can't work with someone who's not committed to these values. And if they're off the values, we got to get back on the values or it just doesn't work. Our values in the agency are positive attitude, hardworking, coachable, and commitment to growth. Why positive attitude? Does anybody want to work with somebody that's negative, that decides to be negative each day? We get to decide, do we want to be positive or do we want to be negative? Like, as a leader, are you calling your people to be positive because you know it serves them? Like 10 out of 10. Hardworking. Well, we can complain about working or we can work. When we work, things happen and they get done. Like, we take territory. Joshua 1:9, be strong and courageous. Like, do the work. Make it happen. Get that 95% of the unconscious like scheduled out so that what you want to make happen happens. Coachable. Coachable not to the person that doesn't have what you want, but to the person that has what you want. Right? Coachable, like seeking God's will, seeking the word, seeking knowledge from mentors that have specific knowledge in a craft that like has produced fruit. Right? If there's fruit, and I mean, in my prior work life, I have a construction management degree from ASU. Any Sun Devils out there? All right, let's go. That I used for 4 years in college, a couple months out of college, and then I got into insurance with David and the guys. But I just remember like my project manager on the construction job site like had fruit and success in his work, but he had zero peace, like tons of stress, wasn't happy in his family life. And so he had fruit in like what my future could look like as a project manager. It just wasn't the fruit that I wanted. In insurance, I saw a man named Dustin Minicamp, and he had peace and he had love and people spoke so highly of him. And he had success in the workplace. So coachable in the sense of like, what fruit do you want? Because if they got the fruit, they can teach you, provided, I mean, they're a good person, right? They're doing things morally, ethically, but yeah, coachable. And then commitment to growth. Personally, professionally, and for the agency, we say. Like John Maxwell says, growth equals happiness. Have you ever like been unhappy when you were like receiving an accolade of your growth or like accomplishing over the day? Yeah, 100 miles in a day hurt, but like something about like eating that meal after it was all done, like was so satisfactory. I remember spending like $120 at a barbecue place down the street with a buddy, and we just got everything and we ate and we were happy and it was over. Right? Like growth equals happiness. I'll give you guys an example of my personal values. Okay? My personal values, as you guys maybe are thinking about what your values are or working on them. My personal values run off the acronym of HEART, honor. We honor because we're honorable. Like most things that aren't going your way are an honor issue. So do you honor because you're honorable, or do you like honor? That's number one value for me. Equanimity for E. Not too hot, not too cold. Like I'm going down my lane and like I'm bringing people with me. Like hold on, like we're gonna get to the promised land. Like equanimity. Authenticity. Right? Remembering where we came from, like talking as a normal person. Like we're all in this journey together. Nobody's got it fully figured out, you know? Resilience. I'm an overcomer. When things get challenging, I lean back on my core value of resilience. And T, trustworthy. People can count on me. I'm going to come through. So my challenge to you guys would be to identify your core values. And my challenge to you would be to remember what Joshua says in Joshua 1:9, be strong and courageous. Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. You're going through your day, like you have a split-second decision to do what you know is right based off of your values, or to go in the way that you might have gone in the past, the easy way, choosing the hard right over the easy wrong, right? Values help you determine the hard right, and you do it because you know that that's value-based and what's going to serve you. And I'll leave you with this last verse here as we wrap up. In Romans. I beseech you, therefore, Romans 12:1 and 2. I'm always thinking on this. It's talking about like making your body a living sacrifice and like renewing your mind. So I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is reasonable service. And do not be conformed to the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is good and acceptable and the perfect will of God. What I can tell you is if you choose to live value-based, if you choose to live core values, if you choose to just get 1% better every day, you work on the renewing of your mind from the Word of God, you show up to environments where other people are seeking the same thing, you're going to see transformation in your life. Not transformation like of this world, but literally transformation like you think a caterpillar to a butterfly. Like a caterpillar and a butterfly are not even like the same deal. A caterpillar literally has to go into a cocoon, liquefy to come out on the other side a butterfly. And when you think about that, like that's what your transformational process to who you want to be, it's going to require. Like it's literally going to require you melting and becoming something beautiful with wings. But is that legacy worth it? Like, is it worth it for your future kids? Is it worth it for your family or for your kids now? I love you guys. I'm so excited for the rest of this week. It's only Thursday.